Welcome to the Dr. Ed Show. I'm Dr. Edmund Sulkowski, and I'd like to welcome my friend, Senator Camera Bartolotta. Camera, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and I know you have a busy schedule.
Well, I appreciate it very, very much. It's been too long.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I hadn't seen you
while.
for a couple of years.
I know.
It's interesting. I think I met you probably 25 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think so.
It's been a while.
Wow. Right?
The odd thing was that we actually were at the same place at the same time in the mid-'80s on a TV show as extras in California. Do you remember that?
What show was that?
I'm trying Riptide.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And we probably didn't meet, but we were the group of people standing there.
Oh my gosh. How did I not remember that one?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
So
wow.
I know the scene that I was in, they cut out, but then I was in another part of the scene that I didn't know I was being filmed in. So.
Okay. There you go. That happens.
But
wow, Riptide. Good
yeah.
Lord. I still speak to Perry King.
Oh, he was one of the actors. They were like,
yeah, he was one of the stars of the show. Yeah, we dated for about a year or so.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we call each other on each other's birthdays and Christmas and all that, and just, yeah. He's a good friend.
I was out there and I was driving around and I saw them filming and I just pulled over and signed a paper to be an extra.
Oh,
and I think in our conversations when I met you years ago, you said you were there at that show at the same time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, well, I did a lot of Riptides. Yeah, I was there quite a bit. I did a lot of silent bits.
Yeah.
And which, you know, if people don't know what that is, you can be an extra. It just means it's your background and, you know, people in the scene and whatever, a crowd or something like that. But a silent bit means that you're an actual player. You have a part, but you just don't speak. I did those almost every single day that I was there because I looked like everyone at one time. So I did a ton of Cheers and Hardcastle McCormick and A-Team and Riptide and Good Grief Dynasty, and you know I had some speaking roles in Hunter, and I was in Rocky IV, and Pretty in Pink, and it was a fun time.
What people probably don't understand. It's a long day. I don't know about how the actors do it, but as an extra, you just stand there.
Yeah.
And you just wait.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. Stand there. And say nothing, and touch nothing, and do nothing.
Yes. And don't leave. And you gotta, oh my goodness. Yeah, one of the worst was Love Boat. I did a zillion Love Boat episodes.
Is that right?
Oh gosh, yeah. And it was always so, bring the smallest bathing suit and the highest heels, because, you know, that's how everybody, you know, enjoys a cruise, you know, on the open seas. So, yeah, that was pretty grueling. Yeah, but I remember being there with Rita Moreno and Harvey Korman and Tim Conway. And this was back before digital anything, so it was actual film. So it was expensive, but Tim Conway was breaking everybody up. I mean, he just kept everybody laughing. And finally, the director just said, listen, shut up, because we're wasting a whole lot of time and a whole lot of film. Knock it off. But that was hilarious. Yeah, had a lot of fun.
It was really funny. So I wasn't planning to do that. It just happened upon it and did it.
Yeah.
And I came back saying, oh, it's the premiere show. I don't know, it was the second, third season or the show, whatever it was.
Okay.
And I said it was the premiere show for the season, and I'm going to be at this part of it.
Oh, yeah. They cut it out.
It was not even there.
I know. That happens. Actually, the very, very first speaking role I ever got was on, oh golly, shoot, I knew I'd forget it. Fatal Vision. Fatal Vision.
That one was.
This was a little mini-series about Jeffrey McDonald, who was, I think he was a Navy guy or something, and he murdered his family, and blamed it on some sort of like almost like a Charles Manson sort of a gang. And he ended up going to prison. But I played one of the girlfriends, and it was, you know, the whole scene, like filmed the whole day and the whole thing, whatever. And when I got back to college, it was during college that I was doing these things, and I told my friends, "Oh my God, I'm on Fatal Vision. It's going to be how blah." Yeah. I'm like, "Watch the scene, and wait a minute, where am I?" I'm like barely in the background at the banquet table, that long, but they cut that whole scene out because the producers of it were being sued by Jeffrey McDonald's attorneys, saying that they were, you know, poisoning the jury pool, whatever the heck it was. Because this guy had a gajillion girlfriends all over the place while he's on trial for the murder of his whole family. I'm like, oh, great guy.
Crazy.
Great. But anyway,
Yeah,
but I ended up on the cutting room floor, except for this fast. But because I was still visible, I still got residuals.
Well, that's neat.
Every now and again, I'll get a check for 47 cents because they aired it in like Japan or
Those
something.
pennies
like,
add up.
What? It's like
Yeah,
half of what the stamp cost to mail it.
I didn't even get paid.
Oh, no, yeah,
And
just
then the
walk
scene
out,
that
yeah.
I was actually in the opening, but I don't even think it was. I think it was before I even signed up. I think that they must have been filming as I found them, because I was sitting in my rental car,
Oh my gosh, wow.
and that's
funny.
the part that was in it.
Huh.
So. And I still have that somewhere on VHS tape.
Oh,
or something.
yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, way back in the day, Beta.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like just disintegrated by now. I've got all those different things on a zillion different TV
So,
shows I did. Yeah.
I want people to know Camera and how you got to here. So you were raised in California.
I was born in Oregon, a tiny, tiny, tiny little town in Oregon called Cottage Grove. And my mom was 18 when she had me, and my sister was already 2 years old. But my dad was a lumberjack in Alaska.
Wow.
And so I was born in Cottage Grove, and that's where his family was, but he was a lumberjack in Alaska. So the first roof over my head was literally a floating shack with a logging company. And they would tie up and they would log an area and then float those shacks down the river a bit, log some more, and yeah. So I was born in December, Alaska, and my mom's like, this isn't working for me.
Yeah, it wouldn't work for me either.
With 2 little kids. She's like, no. So it really wasn't very long at all, like a couple of months maybe. And we left there, and they drove down to Las Vegas. And I was born in December of '63. So in the 60s, early 60s, that's when Vegas was just booming. All these hotels were being built and all that, loads and loads of jobs. So they went down there, and my mom took on 3 jobs because my dad left us when I was 2. He couldn't take it. So I was like back up to Alaska with him. And my mom was in Vegas with 2 very, very, very young babies, really. And she worked 3 jobs. She was a maid at the Dunes Hotel. She was.
I remember the Dunes.
Yeah. It lasted, but they, imploded and all that other stuff. And then, she was a maid, and then she also was a waitress. Even before she was 21, she's like delivering drinks around the pool, and they're taking salt tablets because it's 109 or some crazy thing. And she was a switchboard operator, which I say that to young people like in high school and stuff, like, what is that? It was a switchboard operator. So
Edith Ann.
Yeah, Edith Ann, one-ringy dingy. And then in her spare time, she would walk along the desert highway picking up Coke bottles that people had thrown out their car windows, and she would redeem those bottles for food money. And then she had her mom move in with us and help take care of my sister and I. And then it was I think it was maybe 4, something like that. We moved to Southern California, and that's where I spent the rest of my time until moving to southwestern Pennsylvania in '86.
So how did that happen?
I met my then husband. He passed away in '09 after
Bruce.
Bruce Bartolotta. He spent 4 years fighting lymphoma, like a lion. Horrible stuff. I met him out there in California.
And Bruce was an attorney.
He was an attorney, and he was doing a record deal for his cousin, Ernie Pontier, who is from the area, obviously, and he was out there trying to get a record deal with Disney because he was a phenomenal singer. And so Bruce said to Ernie one day, he said, listen, you got to have some friends that, aren't dudes. Let's go call some friends and call a couple girls or whatever. Let's go bowling or let's go to dinner. That's just something. Just get out. And so I got a phone call from my dear friend Sindra, who she and I worked on TV shows a ton together and film and everything else. So she called and said, hey, my friend Ernie has a cousin who's in town from Pittsburgh. Do you want to go out? I'm like, who's Ernie? And she said, oh, he said he's worked with you on a lot of shows, TJ Hooker and A-Team and this and that and Love Boat and all that. I said, I have no idea who you're talking about. So the 4 of us would just go out and, just friends casually for a few months. And then Bruce was determined to date me. And he was smoking at the time. And I said, I don't date anybody who smokes cigarettes, sorry. So he was in the car one time on the freeway with his cousin and took his pack of cigarettes and, bad don't litter, but he threw it out the window. So, you know, he and I went out together just, you know, for dinner one time, and it was like, wow, I've never met a genuine human being before, because growing up in LA.
Especially around the Hollywood crowd. I actually had a lot of involvement with a number of celebrities, and it's all kind of fake and synthetic.
Kinda?
Yeah.
Kinda? Yeah. Every guy's like, oh, I'm a producer, and the ink on the card's wet. You're like, great, thanks, but no.
Yeah.
So he just was genuine and just a typical southwestern Pennsylvania guy, you know, just really authentic and genuine and just pleasant and funny, and it was great.
So you guys fell in love, got married, and
well, I came out to southwestern PA. No, you know, he was still living here. Obviously, he was just back and forth, living with his cousin for you know, on and off. So yeah, I moved out here and got married the next year.
So that had to be like a drastic change in climate for you.
You think? You think? In everything. In everything. People would ask me, oh, where are you from? I'm like Los Angeles. Like, what? What are you doing here? But I will tell you this, and I know it sounds super corny, but I mean every single word of it, and I've described it this way for 30-some years. Moving to southwestern Pennsylvania was like when you're watching The Wizard of Oz, and it's all black and white until she's in Oz, and the doors open, and it's Technicolor, and it's like just hits you. Moving to southwestern Pennsylvania was like that for me, because you're driving down the street or you're walking, people are like, hey, how are you? And they wait for an answer.
Yeah.
You know, they actually care. They really mean it.
As opposed to living in California where you don't even know your next door neighbor.
You don't ask anybody for the time of day. Yeah.
And, you know, growing up in Canonsburg, everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew what you were doing, and you know, and if they made up stories about you, so it didn't matter.
Or they're just, you know, neighbors helping neighbors, and you know, and I was stunned because there were no fences between yards and all that.
Because everybody in California has walls behind their houses.
Oh my gosh, you know, a fortress.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, for the longest period of time we lived in one place was on a dead-end street, Dunbar Place, a little dead-end street. And we lived there for 7.5 years. And my sister and I only knew 3 neighbors because they had kids our age. Because it's so transient. I think people move in, they try to make it, they do whatever, and then they move, and it's just so...
And they come from
everywhere else.
Everywhere else, it's all different lifestyles.
I know, but the thing is that the transient aspect of it, it's like nobody really wants to invest emotionally into making close friendships because they're gone. They're gone.
So you moved... Where to here when you moved here?
We moved to, the first place we moved to was in Peters Township, in Venetia.
That's where I live.
Yeah, there, yeah. In a tiny little townhouse, you know, that was really, really small. And we moved there first. And Bruce has property in Monongahela behind his parents' house. And he'd had that property, 9 acres or so, close to 9 acres, I guess, of just woods for a decade. And he had plans for a house and all these other things. He said, okay, we're going to build. So that took a long time to do, really a long, long time. Because, you know, saving money and pinching pennies and all these other things. And as a lawyer, he would do pro bono work for, you know, a cement contractor or a building contractor or a bricklayer, this and that and the other thing, or electricians, and he made friends with all these folks. So they were very happy to, you know, really give us their services at an incredibly reduced cost. You know, just because he was a great guy and he helped them, he kept our builder, I think, out of bankruptcy, I think 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it just took a long time to build that house. Yeah.
And so that's where you've been
ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you went through, you know, it was a big tragedy when Bruce died and throughout his illness. And I think at a certain point in time, I remember there was some hope that everything was going to be okay, and then it just kind of turned.
Well,
but
he was misdiagnosed first. They thought it was a large B cell. It's like in the weeds for like medical stuff. But they thought it was one kind of a cancer, and they were hoping it wasn't what it really ended up being. So they treated him with this like most massive chemo and everything you could do. And then, you know, it subsided, and 6 months later it was back. And they thought, okay, unfortunately it's mantle cell, and this is how you, 2 stem cell transplants. Horrible stuff.
Yeah, that's difficult to go through.
awful, but he was just, he wanted to be there for his kids because he had 2 kids from a previous marriage, Danielle and Damon, and you know, then we had our 2,
Devin and Dante.
Devin and Dante.
So,
and
so what? Yeah. Where are those kids these days?
My daughter Devin is in New Orleans. She is the main anchor for CBS News in New Orleans, and she and her wonderful, incredible husband Matt, they met in Rochester, Minnesota, and that was her first job out of college. She went to Ohio University, Scripps School of Journalism, broadcast, phenomenal program, phenomenal. Because just a couple of months out of college, she got this job with NBC in Rochester, Minnesota, or as she called it, Minnesota.
Because it's so cold.
She would,
and a little crazy.
Oh, well, you know, at the time, I mean, this was just back in, you know, right out of college and everything, and she just, within months, she was the producer, and she was doing like everything. She was directing, producing, the whole deal, because honest to goodness, Ohio University, Scripps School of Journalism, they teach you everything. She was an MMJ, a multimedia journalist, and she knew how to do it all. She could take her own camera, she could produce, she could edit, she just, and she's been wanting to do that since she literally was 5 years old.
That's her.
She was amazing. Yeah, she was interviewing people with a tape recorder, and she was writing stories. She's a brilliant writer, and she does, you know, intensive research on things, and she's just really, really, really good at her job. So, and she met her husband Matt when she was up there, her last year of her 3-year contract in Minnesota. She says, "Well, I'm going to Baltimore for my next gig. What do you want to do?" She said, "Okay, let's go." So they went to Baltimore, and she spent 3 years there with NBC. And actually, she had already gotten 3 Emmys, regional Emmys, when she was in Minnesota, and did a great job in Baltimore, but just didn't like the station all that much. It was just toxic, and the whole thing. She's like, out. So she got a job down in New Orleans, and she loves the station. She loves the people. They're just, you know, there's just the Southern charm, and you know, she just loves the folks down there.
And now
it's a
she's
wonderful
saying
place.
Nolans.
Yeah. Nolans. And she can pronounce all those crazy Cajun words like nobody's business. It's great. It's great.
And Dante is where now?
Dante is he lives in Mars, PA. He and his wonderful wife, Sienna, they have a little baby girl, Rosella.
So you have
I have, yes, I mentioned, yeah, my daughter and son-in-law, they have Florence. And again, you know, my 2 stepkids, they don't have kids. And so Devin was thinking, oh, you know, what if, you know, Dante or I don't have a boy? What do we? So she named their daughter Florence Bruce.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was very sweet. I thought that was kind of cool. So Florence and Rosella, I have Flo and Ro.
Flo and Ro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an Aunt Florence. We called her Flo.
Flo? Yeah. Or Fizzy. They call her Fizzy.
Fizzy.
Well, because Matt is this fantastic athlete. He was a track coach and the whole thing, and he's like super cut and just, you know, really healthy and the whole deal. So his thing was like, well, you know, when Florence grows up, she could, you know, if she's a CEO, it could be Florence or Flo, or if she's an athlete like her dad, now taking second base, Fizzy. So she's just adorable and so much fun. It's just, can't wait to go see her soon. Actually, they're coming up for a family wedding in August in a few weeks. I'm like, yes. Yeah,
nice.
It's great. And then Rosella, she just turned 6 months, and she's just cute as a bug.
It didn't take Dante long, huh? Start a family.
Well, no, you know, he you know, wants to be a dad. He wants a big family, wants a lot of kids, and the whole thing. So.
And what's he do for a living?
He is a flight instructor. He also works at Skyward Aviation at the Washington County Airport, where he learned to fly. I had him learn to fly after I learned to fly.
I wanted to talk about that because all of a sudden I heard, I don't know if you told me or someone else mentioned to me that you were taking flying lessons.
Oh, that was in 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was living in Arizona at the time.
Oh,
That's pretty crazy.
Oh, it was fantastic. I'd always wanted that, you know. And then after, you know, when Bruce died in 2009, you know, I was a widow at 45 years old. And I just thought, you know, if you have a bucket list item, something you've always wanted to do, and it's anywhere within your reach, do it. Do it. Make it happen.
get up in the morning and I, paint a little bit and do little things around the house before I get out and start my day. And a lot of that's been on my mind lately.
Life is short.
You can put things off and nothing happens.
Exactly.
And then you have regrets. And I don't think you should ever go through life with regrets.
Absolutely right. And it's better to regret having failed at something than having never attempted it in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you how down to earth the camera is. So when I had sold my house and I was moving to Arizona, Dante offered to come and help me pack things up and get things out of there and so forth. Camera shows up and she's mopping my floors. That's how down to earth this person is. So I mean, never expected, and I don't know if you remember even doing that.
Yeah, well,
she spent the day helping me clean my house. Which was no small effort.
Well, what the heck, yeah.
But that flying thing was a big deal. I mean,
it was a lot of fun. It was fantastic. Made the world a much smaller place.
And then you ended up getting your own plane.
I kind of did the other way around. I got the plane because I wanted it to be the safest small plane that you could be in, and that's what I got. I got a Cirrus, which has the parachute that deploys out of the whole airplane.
Oh, yeah?
If everything goes wrong. And I won't tell you what I call it, but it's the OS bar. We'll just leave it at that, because that's what you're going to scream if you're needing it. It's okay. And I bought the plane and I went up to Duluth, Minnesota, is where the factory is that makes them. And I had a flight instructor, Helen, came in from Seattle, Washington. You have to be a certified Cirrus instructor to teach people to fly in a Cirrus. So that's what I ended up doing, and we flew it down to Florida, and where the weather's great. We were flying all the time, and I just got all those hours in, and because it was something that was on my bucket list. And having, I was being a widow at 45 years old. You started thinking about, wow. And all those things that Bruce was never, ever going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And it was always in our married. We were married for almost 22 years, and it was always, okay, when the kids are older, we'll do this, or when the kids are out of high school, we'll do that. When the kids, when, no.
Yeah, when
don't do it.
Time flies.
It really
absolutely does. Speaking of flying, time does.
Exactly. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. So I got the plane in 2011, got my pilot's license. And Dante begged to go to a military academy for high school, because my daughter was already off. She was at college and everything else, so she was sort of away from the area. And we had grocery stores, supermarkets at the time. So the kids, since they were 6 years old, were working in the supermarkets, learning how to do everything. They were cleaning up, spilled eggs and cleaning cases and all kinds, just doing everything they needed to do to learn
the business.
What work is.
Yeah.
And so when Bruce passed away in 2009, Dante in the summer was just doing what he normally did, and that was being a cashier at the supermarket. And at the time, he still, he has a beard and everything, and his dad could never grow one, so he doesn't look as much like his dad. But at that time, he was a spitting image of his dad when he was younger. So imagine being a young guy, 15, and every 10 minutes, someone's coming through the line saying, "Oh, you look just like your dad. We miss him so much." Every 10 minutes, there's a stab in the heart. And he's like, "I can't do this. I can't. So he wanted to go to Fort Union Military Academy, and his grandfather, Aldo, salt of the earth, walked on water. This man was amazing. And Dante's name was Dante Aldo, after his grandpap. And Dante was the youngest of 6 grandchildren. And he said, "No, I want to go to Fort Union Military Academy in Virginia. I want to be where I'm not. There's no distraction. There's no girls. There's no nothing. It's, just discipline and focus. And I'll never get to where I want to be if I'm back home distracted and all those other things." So anyway, I said, "Well, you got to talk your grandfather into it." And his grandfather was like, "Look, you're the baby of the family, and your dad's gone, and I don't know. And so we all went to Fort Union for Dante's interview, and Aldo was there, and he like, "Okay, this is a good spot for you." And that's when Dante said, "Oh, by the way, I want to repeat my freshman year, because his freshman year, I had taken him out of the public school system because he was just floundering. Put him into Seton LaSalle, and he was 3 years behind in everything. And it was a nightmare because I couldn't help him catch up. You know, I'm taking his father every single day back and forth to West Penn Hospital for treatments every day. Anyhow, so that was a big reason why Dante said, I got to go to Forky. So we get him down there, and that's when he sprung on us. Oh, I want to repeat my freshman year. Who does that? What 15-year-old boy says, oh, by the way, I want to be in school, you know? Yeah. And it worked out great. He did that because when he graduated, he was the highest ranking officer in the school. He was a private pilot, and he was a master scuba diver, and had won almost every leadership award they had at the school. He blossomed, and that's what he really, really needed. So that was great.
I was a scuba diver, so
I
know that experience. Yeah. I had my, I went as far as having my nighttime dive certification.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
Then I stopped after that. But.
Yeah, he just loved. Well, because you know you're at a military academy. There's not a whole lot. He was like, okay, what can we do here?
Yeah.
Signed him up for the scuba program, and he got his master diver certificate there.
Awesome. So
and now again, you know, he's a flight instructor, but he also flies for Skyward in their Lear jets. They take surgeons from Pittsburgh Hospital and elsewhere and put them in the plane, and they go harvest organs, and they take them to different places all over for organ donation. So he'll be on call, and sometimes he's like, okay, I got to be out at 3 a.m. You know, he drives down there and off he goes. But he's this close to getting the license he needs to work for like United
so his
or
commercial
whatever.
license.
Absolutely,
for that.
Yeah. So he's got all of those.
So he has that in the back of his mind.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's in the front of his mind because that's his next step.
I got to tell you, my understanding is a lot of pilots are retiring.
Too many. Oh my gosh, too many.
And it's creating all these problems. So
huge problems, yes, and air traffic control too. So that's why I'm so passionate about certain schools, like Beaver County Community College and elsewhere. They are teaching flying lessons like ground school and things like that, and really getting young people motivated.
Because it's expensive to go to flight school.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's not like you go out and take a driver's license course and you're behind the wheel of a vehicle.
No.
It's
no.
massive study and massive training.
Yeah, cars don't fall out of the sky.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I got this call from somebody. It said, you know, Cameron's running for office. And I said, wait, what, school board?
Oh, yeah.
They said, no, she's running for state senator. So what motivated you to do that? Because you know, you're going through all this transition. You lost your husband, your family's now getting out and making lives of their own. And to get into politics, because politics to me is dirty.
Oh my gosh.
You know, that's the way I see it.
It gets worse every year. It gets worse all the time. Yeah.
But what was your motivation to do that?
I was recruited, but this is how it happened. So it was 2011, and I was approached by some folks in the Republican Party, and they said, listen, because I was, you know, I'd been volunteering to teach drama club at the Findlay Middle School for 7 years, even when my kids didn't go there anymore. I was doing that just, you know, once a week after school, and it was great. And these kids were really learning a lot and just learning even more than just drama. So anyway, that's a whole other story. But again, you know, it had been like 18 months since my husband had passed away. Dante was still in high school, and they said, we'd like for you to run for House. And I said, wait a second, what do you mean? I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm not ready for that. That's too much right now. I've got to focus on kind of rebuilding my life and what's happened. I still had my own, I owned the Duke of Oil change business.
Oil change place, yeah.
31 years I had that, and I ran that myself. And for the first 6.5 years, I was there every single day. You know, 9 months pregnant out to here, guiding cars in, and anyhow, that was fun. Until, you know, Dante was, you know, more rhesus monkey than child. I'm like, I can't bring the kids in. Anyway. So I delegated to managers and things like that, and still was, you know, it was every single night they called with the numbers. So that was really difficult to be doing that with trying to run for office or whatever. So that was 2011. I said, listen, no, I'm going to say no now, but you know, thanks for the offer. So they came to me in a couple of months after that and said, listen, we really think you could do a great job at this, you know, with your business experience, with as much as you're being out in the public, and I had helped with Diana Irie-Vaughan's campaigns for a few things, and just interested in it and kind of known in the area. And so they said, we'd like for you to consider running for state senate. That race is in 2 years from now, so let us know. And I said, okay, here's what I'll tell you this. Give me 6 months, and if in those 6 months, I decide that I think I can do a good job, I'm in. If I don't think I can do a good job, I'm behind anyone that can. It was several months late, and I went to every school board meeting, township supervisors meeting, borough council meeting. I called everybody, talked to everybody. I just immersed myself. I was like everywhere, learning everything I could learn. And within those 6 months, my daughter came back from OU on a spring break and said, oh, I have 2 sorority sisters going on a mission trip for spring break. I said, that's so admirable. Where are they going? Are they going to what? Cuba or Haiti? She goes, no, Monessen. I said, I'm sorry, what? They're sending missionaries from your sorority to Monessen, the town across the river from my house, that at the time was still in that senatorial district. It was redistricted out, like it would have been
We're
that
talking
next
the
year.
46th
senatorial district.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm in. This is crazy. So I just poured myself into. I knocked on 9,000 doors personally. I was at every fair, festival meeting, everything. And I ended up winning that race in 2014. My first call was to the mayor of Monessen. And I said, it's not my district, but told him a story. And I said, anything you need, here's my number. He still calls me, by the way. He's not the mayor anymore, but he still calls me. Yeah.
What's interesting is this is a Democrat-controlled area.
It was.
And you were a Republican at the time.
Yeah.
You're a Republican now, but
yes.
But at the time it was Democratic controlled.
Yes, and I didn't know until election night that when I won, that I was the first Republican senator to win since 1927, and the first woman ever in history to hold the seat. I didn't even know that until election night when they said that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because you just, as you said, immerse yourself into it, and you went basically on a grassroots approach.
Yes, absolutely.
Knocking on the door. This is
Me
who
and
I
2
am.
volunteers.
This is what I believe or what I think is going on, and this is what I think I can do.
Actually, it was more like, I'm here to listen to what you need, because the experts in Harrisburg were telling me one thing, and I was hearing something different from the folks door to door. I said, I want to know what your top 3 concerns are. And that's what I learned. And one of the biggest takeaways, and I sort of knew it, but not this intensely, 2 times out of the 9,000 doors I knocked on, there were these beautiful, wonderful elderly women in these tiny little apartments in these little areas. And 2 different times I would say, okay, tell me the 3 things. I want you, well, I don't really know. So, well, how about property tax? And 2 different, broke down crying, burst out in tears, and said, I lost my family home. I couldn't keep up with the property tax. I'm like, okay.
This is a big concern because while people are able to work and pay their property taxes and their mortgage and their utilities and whatever else they have to do to survive in life, and they get to a certain point where you can't work, health reasons, or just you're done, you're tired of doing it.
Right, or retired, or
there really isn't the income to support all of those taxes and so forth.
No.
And you lose a home that you've invested your whole life into.
Absolutely.
That you should be able to die in your home.
Absolutely. And you should be able to have your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids come to that home and share all of those memories.
I would think that's a huge concern, because living in Peters Township, all I see is my taxes going up year after year after year, and not these little minor increases. They're big jump.
Exactly.
And
if you're on a fixed income,
how do you do that?
Yeah, your Social Security isn't going up by that amount.
No.
And some of these people, God bless them, there's a whole group of former teachers who retired a long time ago, pre-Act 8, but when I'm not, anyway, they haven't gotten a cost of living increase in over 20 years. And some of their average age is like 83. It's really awful.
It's like we say, you contributed, you paid your dues and
Yeah.
the heck with you now.
Yeah.
That's the way it appears to me at times.
For certain demographics of people, and you only learn that by listening, and you only learn that by really diving into policies that affected these people and what the problem was at the time, and how do you undo that? What can we do to correct that awful misstep? So, trying to get things passed in the legislature, it should take a long time. It should be a deliberate process where all of the players get to have their voice heard. This is the problem with it, and it gives you time to find the unintended consequences of bills. You can't just rush things through, because almost every single time there's going to be something that you didn't consider until you get testimony from people and hearings and this and that. It goes through one committee it goes through a committee in the Senate, and then it goes on the Senate floor. Then it goes to the House through that committee, then to the House floor, and then it goes to the governor's desk.
So let's talk a little bit about how that works.
Okay.
So, we don't hear a lot about state stuff, sadly enough.
Yeah,
We
I know.
hear this national stuff all the time,
Nonstop,
and how
right.
the Senate and the Congress fight each other, and all of that baloney that goes on there, and so forth. But does the state work the same way?
I'm doing everything I can to keep that from happening. So, as everybody knows, I'm married to Bill DeWeese. He's a former Speaker of the House. He was Minority Leader, Majority Leader, Speaker of the House. He's a Democrat. We fight like cats and dogs over a lot of different things. But, not every single moment in your life should be wrapped around politics. So we have this thing like, when we pass a mailbox, we have to stop fighting. So sometimes it's an imaginary mailbox. It's like, okay, we're going to stop. But we disagree on a whole lot of things politically. But we do agree on a lot of things when it comes to, the people in the area, the demographics, the energy and jobs and all of these things. And that's how it should be. We should be able to talk to people. But we have been doing this for years now. We go to Philadelphia 4 times a year for 3 nights each. So 12 nights a year we're in Philadelphia, and we bring people together. We put together dinners with House members, senators, Democrats, Republicans, the Black Caucus. The mayor of Philly's been with us a couple of times. And we just get to know each other on a human basis. And just, we're all human beings, and we all should want the best for the people that we represent. How do we do that? How do we govern? You need to be able to govern. And I think that's what's missing when it's, us versus them, skins versus shirts. I mean, it's just, you have to be able to govern.
See, everybody calls Pennsylvania a swing state. Some people call it a blue state. I see Pennsylvania as actually red. I see a little pocket of Allegheny County, Pittsburgh in general.
Yeah.
I see a little pocket, big pocket in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I lived in Philadelphia. And I think probably York and Harrisburg. The rest of it is very conservative and red.
Yeah.
But why do they have the biggest voice? Because they have the most votes in those areas?
Yes, that's it exactly. And this is something that I try to explain to some people too, because I represent all of Greene County, all of Washington County, and a little bit of Beaver County. We have recently, just over the last several years, flipped Greene County and Washington County to majority of Republicans registered.
Absolutely.
So, and there's a whole lot of Democrats that vote Republican. They just haven't switched their registration.
Correct.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it has, and this is what's strange, because over, the last 30 years or so, it used to be exactly the opposite. It used to be southwestern Pennsylvania was Democrat. Southeastern Pennsylvania was Republican, with the registration and the members in the legislature. Completely switched now, totally switched. And I like to compare the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is basically a microcosm of the country. Because when you look at the voter turnout in the country, you've got all of the, California, Oregon, with all of these very, very, very blue, and then New York, New Jersey, all of that very, very blue on the outskirts, and then like Texas, parts of it, pockets. And you look at Pennsylvania, it's strangely the same way. You've got Allegheny County, it's very blue, and then you've got Philadelphia, very, very, very blue on the outskirts, and then the middle flyover. This is where we produce the energy. This is where we produce the food. This is where we've got the manufacturing. You know, they should have a voice as well. So the issue is, and I tell people this too, down in like Greene County, the population is about 35,000 people in the whole county, right? And they're like, every single one of us voted for Trump. I can't believe it. Why are we not? I said, okay, that's great. 35,000 people in there. There's a neighborhood with more population in almost any part of Philadelphia. And 42% of the state's votes come from Philly and the collar counties. 42% of the vote. And then you've got Allegheny County, and that's a huge demographic too. So, you know, yeah, they're small in area, but they're massively populated. And when you have those big cities, these are folks who come from out of the country, other states, other places, and they bring those sorts of ideas in. You know, and even through COVID, there was a massive wave of people coming from New York and New Jersey moving into Pennsylvania. And instead of thinking, we moved out of those areas because of the policies, they're bringing some of the policies in.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
Just so you're aware, I officially changed the name from COVID to Fauci-19.
So there you go.
I've been doing that for the last 6 months.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that nationally takes on. It's Fauci-19.
I will help spread that.
But any case, so you know, raised here in Western Pennsylvania. I lived in Philadelphia. I lived in Ohio.
Yeah.
I found my heart in Arizona.
Oh.
So I'm tormented because I'm in both places. I go back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
I consider Arizona my home. I consider Western Pennsylvania my home.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen in Arizona since the migration from California residents into Arizona is this change. So they run from what they dislike, what they bought into or created in one state, and they run from it to a state that doesn't operate that way. And Arizona did not operate that way. And then they do the same thing that they did in California and Arizona and try to change it to another California.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. And this is the thing in Pennsylvania I want people to understand. We only have a 3-person majority in the Senate, a Republican majority in the Senate of Pennsylvania.
And we do have a Republican majority in the Senate.
Yeah. In Pennsylvania. But we are one majority. Well, there's a majority of one Democrat in the House. So offset only by 1 seat in the House makes them a Democrat majority, okay? We can't get meaningful bills onto the governor's desk to challenge him to vote up or down because they get stopped in the House. We are 3 seats away in the Senate of Pennsylvania from becoming California. That's how vital it is. That's how important this is.
That's how scary that is.
It's terrifying. It is terrifying, especially when I was just in Harrisburg yesterday and the day before. We went in because the House of Representatives, the Democrat majority, sent over their appropriations bill. Okay, this is the craziest thing to me, having been a business owner for 31 years, and I don't know, balancing my budget in my house. In Pennsylvania, what they're doing is they create the appropriations bill. This is a bill that says, okay, this is how much money we want to spend. And then it's like, okay, how are you going to pay for all of that? Where's the money coming from? They decide that later.
My taxes.
Well, but then it's like, well, how are you going to fill this gap? Because as a business owner and as a home owner, anybody who pays bills, you see, okay, this is how much money I have coming in. This is how much my bills are. And this is how much I should be saving every day for a rainy day. Okay, every year for a rainy day. They don't do that. It's like, throw this number out there. This is how much we want to spend. When Governor Shapiro did his budget address in February, he threw out a number there that spends $5 billion more than what we spent last year. Are you kidding me? We're not bringing in $5 billion more in Pennsylvania in revenue. We're not. How in the world could you possibly think this is negotiable? So we got a bill from the House, and they were bragging, oh, but it's $900 million less than what the governor was asking for. I don't care. What? $50.6 billion in the butt? What are you talking about?
That's not even a common sense statement.
It's mind-blowing. Where's the money coming from? Oh, we'll figure that out. No, you won't. No, you won't. What are you going to do?
That's like you take your car in for repair and they say, well, you know, it could be $5,000 because the engine has a knock on it. Oh, it's only $3,000 because it was just this little part.
Oh.
So you feel better. I didn't spend $5,000,
Yeah.
I spent $3,000.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's on sale.
Yeah.
I saved, no. It's craziness.
So when you came into office, was the Big Bad Wolf governor?
Yeah, he ran, that was the same time. Because my, any Senate seat that is an even number, and mine is 46, my race is the same year as the governor's race. So that's how that works. Every 4 years for the Senate, every 4 years for governor, and it's the same. So next year, when it's the gubernatorial race, my race is the same time.
So you're up for re-election in
2026.
2026.
Yeah.
So you came in at 2014. You have to run every 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
And knowing you, Camera, you know, I know you go to the Cannonsburg Parade every year, as I do.
Yeah.
And you know, my brother in the office has been the sponsor of that parade for 40 years, corporate sponsor.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Yeah.
It's a wonderful turnout. I mean,
oh, it's fantastic. This turnout this year was crazy.
It was bigger than last year, and last year was big.
Yeah. It's really a lot of fun. We handed out 3,000 freeze pops and 12 huge
You
bags
were
of
handing
candy.
out I was wondering where those were. I'm throwing out candy, and people are saying the dentist's throwing out candy. I said, job security. What are you talking about?
That's right. Yeah, drumming up business.
Yeah, but I was wondering who was getting the freeze pops.
I know.
Boy,
that's been my thing
air
for
conditioner,
several
my
years.
old car died during the parade. I'm thinking, boy, would I love one of those freeze pop right now.
We'll hook you up next time.
How'd you get them from not melting?
I have been doing this for several years now. I have a huge stand-up freezer in my basement that I only plug in and use just for this, because you have to take them all out and lay them all flat on all the shelves and freeze them for at least 2 weeks. And I put them in huge coolers and freezer bags, and I have a wagon, and you know, it was crazy. I had 2 interns and a young lady who works for my office, and we call it the camera crew. So, you know, on the backs of the shirts is camera crew. See?
So camera does something that a lot of people, me included, and I wouldn't mind doing it because I'm a big hiker and biker. You walk the parade.
Oh gosh.
You don't sit in a car and drive it. You get out and walk.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. How else are you gonna shake hands and wave and talk to people and all that? But I'll tell you what, the Cannonsburg Parade is just fast and furious, and oh my goodness, we're like ripping apart freeze pops and handing them out like this, and and they were just so fast. But it's great. I walk every single parade except for the King Cole Parade in Greene County, because that's basically a car sort of because it's fast, and you'll lose your car, because I'm always having to run up and get back up to the vehicle to restock with candy or whatever the heck. But I love to see people and say hi and shake their hand, and there's so many people, and one of my absolute favorite things to do, and I've been doing this for 10 years, especially with the Veterans Parade or the Memorial Day Parade or 4th of July Parade or anything. I love it when our veterans wear their cap, and it tells me, what war they were in, especially our Vietnam vets.
That's another group of people that have become neglected. They served this country.
Gosh, I know.
Died for this country. They've taken injuries for this country, and we toss them, ignore them.
Well, and that's been a huge passion of mine, because I have found 3 ancestors that fought in the Revolutionary War. And I'm a daughter of the American Revolution, not officially, but I'm going to do that this coming year because it's the 250th anniversary. I just haven't gone through the paperwork and stuff. But I have a cousin who did it, and she's only like 2 generations removed, so it might be easier. But, again, 3 ancestors in the Revolutionary War. Every single generation of my family has defended this country in one way or another, including my now husband, Bill. He's a Marine. My son was a Marine reservist. We owe everything to our veterans. I speak at the Cemetery of the Alleghenies for every single time they have something there. Memorial Day, Wreaths Across America especially is great, because I actually did all the work to name the new bridge that goes to the Cemetery of the Alleghenies, Wreaths Across America Bridge. Because I got a lot of asks from different families. Oh, I want to name the bridge after this veteran or that veteran. I'm like, you're driving into the Cemetery of the Alleghenies that has thousands of our beloved heroes buried there. And I thought it was only right to honor all of them in the way that Wreaths Across America honors every single hero buried in every one of our national cemeteries across the country at the same time. So that's that's so important to me, to really to honor our veterans.
I think the elderly and our veterans are two of the most neglected groups of society.
Well, to that point, one of the bills that I actually am working on right now, I'm trying to get across the finish line, is a veteran-owned business logo, because you can go to you can go to any place that has like the BBB, Better Business Bureau. They're listed with them. It used to be Angie's List. There's a sticker for that. Or PA Preferred is a phenomenal program put on by agriculture that tells you, the consumers, what products are made in Pennsylvania. I think that we should honor our veterans who have put their lives on hold, their careers on hold, their families, were scared to death every single day with what might happen to them. They've come back with all of these qualities, their experience, their knowledge, their education, and they're willing to put their talents and time and treasure on the line to create a business. I want people to be able to identify those individuals who are veterans, who are entrepreneurs. And that's my legislation.
And then we should go out of our way to support those.
Absolutely. If that's what you want to do, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so sick of supporting China.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So,
I know. And I try really, really hard to shop local, support local businesses, and promote them. But it's really hard. These people are just, they're suffering.
People don't realize, unless it's directly impacting you. So I have a lot of military patients.
Oh, yeah.
Not long ago, there was husband and wife, and they were new patients, and she just 2-month-old baby, and he's being
deployed. Oh, golly, yeah.
And you can just see the anxiety in her.
Yeah.
And she's new to this area with no family, really don't know anybody.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And she's now on her own with a new baby, and then worrying about what's going to happen with her husband, and where I don't recall. I think he was going to Saudi Arabia, if I recall correctly. But what change of life and what circumstances you're suddenly thrown into as you're serving the country.
Well, and that's the other thing too, Edmund, because we have we are trying so hard to encourage the younger veterans to participate in their local clubs and community organizations and things like that. The VFWs and the all these other fraternal kind of organizations that are there for veterans to come in and just hang out together and play pool or darts or whatever. And they have steak night. All of these other activities that happen there. We find fewer and fewer and fewer participants in it, and it's really a shame. So we're trying to encourage that. And in Washington County, I was very thrilled to be able to help the national headquarters of AMVETS is now located in the heart of my district, right in Washington County.
Wonderful.
I am thrilled about that. So that's I did a video of encouragement, and they sent it off to their people, and anything we can do to support our veterans and get them back into, our communities and wrap our arms around them and thank them for everything they've done for us.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to do that. We're actually at our first break. We're here with Senator Camera Bartolotta. We're going to come back for a second part 2 of the show, and we're going to dwell a little more on what's going on in the state of Pennsylvania and how maybe we as voters can get out there and do what we need to do to support the people like you who are trying to help us. And that's really what your job is. Your job is, you work for us.
Absolutely.
And I think what happens with a lot of politicians that get in there and they work for themselves.
It's a struggle sometimes,
So when we come back from the break, let's focus on it. I've never asked you this question. We're going to ask it now.
Okay.
Well, how did you get the name Camera?
I was born with it.
I know that, but did your mom ever say why she said came up with the name Camera?
Well, my mom had an older sister whose name is Jaquetta. It's French Indian, and that's actually my second name, Camera Jaquetta. And when she was born, when my mom was born, she's Karen Sue. So it was, yeah, a lot of issues growing up, you know, with this common name. So when she had my older sister, she named her Cassandra with a C. So it's Cassandra with a C. And when I was born, she was determined to make sure that my name was unusual, starting with a C and 3 syllables. Thank God the Camaro wasn't out at the time. I'm like, okay, so I think I won that one. But funny fact that the nurse in the delivery room who wrote the birth certificate, she was so appalled that my parents named me Camera. I literally have quotation marks around my name on my birth certificate.
Wow.
So I guess legally I should be signing it with a little meh around there. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So,
Yeah.
because you're the only person I've ever met with the name Camera. You know,
I've heard it 2 other times. Can
Have
you
you?
believe it? Yes. You know, Arthur Ashe, the famous tennis player,
Yeah.
right? His wife was a photographer, and they named their daughter Camera.
Camera.
I'm not alone in the universe.
So I don't meet very many Edmunds.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's kind of unusual to have a different name.
Mm-hmm.
We're at our first break. We'll be back with Senator Camera Bartolotta.